We left off Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, the two dots. Tanu Rabbanan. Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, Tanu Rabbanan. We've been speaking about Hanukkah, that after the Jewish slave, or the Amevriya, is released, she receives a financial package from the master. And we gave the various situations, whether it's Sheishonim, whether it's Yovel, whether it's Giron Kesef, which was a question, or Simonim. She reaches puberty, she receives the financial package from the master. Now the question is, how much do they receive? Ton Rabbanon, Kama Minikin Lo. Chomish Sloim Mikol Minu Min. Shechamesh Esrei Sloim Divrei Meir. The Mishnah, the Pasuk mentions three things, as we'll see in a moment. The Torah says, Tzon, Goren, V'Yekiv. So it's 5 of each. Value of Tzon 5, Goren is 5, and Yekiv is wine, is 5. So 5 sloim of each species, which is 15. So the Gemara is going to ask a question. Rabbi has to do the mathematical calculation for me. 5 sloim of A, B, C. Together it's 15. What is the value of telling me together it's 15? The Gemara is going to ask the question. Rabbi Yudom is Shloshim. It's 30. The Hanok is 30. Why? Kishloshim Shalevet. What's the Torah tells us that if you have a goring ox, kills an Evet Kanani, correct? So the owner of the ox must pay penalty, knas, to the owner of the slave, regardless of how much the slave was worth, or how little he was worth. There's a halacha, the damager has to pay shloshim kesef for the Evet Kanani. That's knas. That's it. It's knas. Worth $10,000. Doesn't make a difference. And what about if the slave is worth nothing? Pay 30. So the Hanukkah is 30, similar to the Evet Kanani that's killed by the ox. It's based on Psukim. The Gezer Shav is on this. It's interesting. And once mentioned, David is an expert in Sifarno, who was a doctor, Italian doctor, living in the 1700s. Okay, just wanted to see if you're up on your history. Okay, so so the Sifarno explains on that pasuk where it says that the ox that kills the Evet Kanani, the goring ox, that you have to pay shloshim kesef. Now, what's the significance of shloshim? Because that's the erech of an isha. That is the value set for a woman. If a woman says, I accept upon myself my innate value, she has to pay to the Hegdish 30. What's the value, the innate value of an Evet Kanani? It's Chav Mitzvahs Kisha. That since he's obligated to observe the mitzvahs as a woman, so what is the value of the Evet Kanani? Not his material value. It's a spiritual value. So because his spiritual value is similar to a woman in terms of his obligation of mitzvahs, therefore it's shloshim kesef. Again. Is an Evet Ivri Kanani Chav Mitzvahs Kisha? Yes or not? Yes or no? Evet Kanani. His degree, his level of obligation is to what degree? Like a woman, okay. So after fact, so we see 30. So how is the Torah evaluating his worth? Not based on his material, right? Not on his material. It's based on what? On his spiritual. Because that personal function as a spiritual being, he's not here any longer.
So are we talking about how much you pay to the girl?
Whether it's an Evet Ivri or an Om Ivriya, whoever receives this compensation receives the question 15, 30, or 50? We'll see in a minute.
If we say the Eved Kanani is obligated...
No, that's Eved Kanani. Kanani.
Here we're talking about the death of the Eved Kanani.
Correct. So we're saying the Eved Ivri, his compensation package is similar to the Eved Kanani.
Eved Kanani is obligated mitzvahs of the
Who's killed? Who's killed?
Like him to the girl, I understand the connection. Because he's obligated in the female...
We didn't get there yet. I didn't make the linkage yet. I didn't make the linkage. I didn't make the linkage yet. Didn't make the linkage. Okay. The basis is going to be Vezos Haberachah. We're just... This is a mnemonic. A mnemonic. 30, which is the value of an Eved Kanani. Because there's going to be Vezos Haberachah. As you find by the Eved Kanani, similar by the Eved Ivri. Okay? I just want to point out what's the Eved Kanani. What's his worth? So you could say that the Eved Ivri, in a way, he's really, even though when he becomes the Eved Ivri, he has the same obligation of mitzvah, but factually, he's compromised his being. For instance, an Eved Kanani is permitted in the Shifcha Kananis, correct? A regular Yisrael is not permitted in Shifcha Kananis. It's a Torah violation. What happens when a Jew becomes an Eved Ivri? See, even though in his mitzvahs, his obligation of mitzvahs, he's still bound, but in the area of Shifcha Kananis, right? The master is permitted to give him this Shifcha. So that means in a certain area of his mitzvah, it's been compromised. He's been compromised like a Kanani. He's been reduced to a Kanani. Because of that, the compensation package is the Kanani. The value of a Kanani, which is 30. Damages. Kills him? No, so then the Torah says, then you have to pay kofir. Eved Ivri, you pay what he's worth on the market. Then you pay what he's worth on the market as a chattel, as a slave. If he would sell for $10,000, you pay $10,000 to his heirs. What's the question? It's an argument. We had this in Marcus on the Vezos and Vezos. Do you evaluate the value of the owner of the ox, or the victim, the one who's the victim? Right? That's machlokes tanoim. But there it's not, because it says kofir. You pay kofir nafsho. You pay an atonement for his nefesh. So whose nefesh? The one who was killed, or the nefesh of the one who was irresponsible, allowed his ox to be unattended, which caused this tragedy. Ordinary Jew. We're talking about an ordinary Jew. Ordinary Jew, it's his value as a slave on the market. No, but that's how you evaluate his value. What happens if a person goes and injures a person and he loses the usage of an arm? How do you evaluate the usage of an arm? You evaluate him as a slave in the market. Now, a slave with 2 arms has a certain value. What about if he only has 1 arm? What's the value? So you deduct that value, and now you know the value of that arm.
There's no difference in the damages between Ivri and ordinary Jew.
Same thing.
It's
Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
So all Jews would have the same value. But someone...
No, it depends how healthy you are. A person's a child, an adult.
Because he's a doctor, and the ox killed him. So
Sure, it's what his value is. Right, exactly. That's the damage. 100%. Right. Person is a tailor, he's a diamond cutter. Right? The Gemara says, Nokiv Margolius. He strings pearls. It's one value versus a person who has another value. You know? You pay that person the value because his value is greater than somebody else's value. No, the ox gored him. So he's a question. You don't pay the. That. You pay, no. You don't. If what an Ivri is killed, you pay the master nothing. Pay the master nothing. If he's killed, let's say an ox kills an Ivri, you have to pay the family of the Eved Ivri, his heirs. Nothing. Because he's not a chattel. Like an Eved Kanani is a chattel. Okay? So Rabbi Yehuda says Shloshim Shel Eved. Reb Shimon Omer Chamishim Shebe'erchin. The highest level of Erech, this is the intrinsic value of a Jew, a male, is what? Is 50. So it's Erchin, Erech, Chamishim Shebe'erchin. But again, these are all mnemonics. Well, the reason why we're using Erechim, because that is the Gzera Shava. In one I made a Gzera Shava to Eved Kanani, which Gemara will cite the Gzera Shava. The other one, how do I know when it says you pay? It's 50 because the Gzera Shava is to the Erech, which is the higher. That's the 50. 15, the Gemara is going to say something else. We'll see in a moment. Omamar, now we're going to review it. Chamesh Sloim Mikol Minu Min. You pay 5 slum of each species. So if you add 3 times 5, Shem Chamesh Esri Slum Di Reb Meir. Somewhere asks Reb Meir bin Yonos Lashminon. Reb Meir has to do the mathematical calculation for me. So what does he tell me? What is he saying? It's 5 of each, which is 15. Hakamash Malon, what he's coming to inform me, Mivtzerhud lo Mivtzalei, my minyono. Meaning you have to have a representation of each one of these species. Okay? However, he Botzalei Michad Mino. But if he gave less than 5 of one of the species, V'tofilei Michad Mino, and he gave more of the other to compensate for what was lacking in the other species, less limbo, it's okay. As long as in conjunction you have 15, you have to have a representation of A, B, C. No, that's exactly.
Just 15.
No, that's 5. It's 5. But if you don't give 5 of each, as long as in conjunction it's 15, it's okay. But you have to have a representation of each one of them. Okay? Less limbo. Now, my time in the Rameh, what's the base of Rameh that it's 15? Yolef Rekom Mibchor. It says, by Bechor, we took Pidyon Aben, which is 5 sloim. Over there, Pasuk says, Rekom. Ma Lahalon Chomish Sloim. Just as over there, it's 5 sloim for Pidyon Aben. Afghan Chomish Sloim. Let's take a look in Rashi. Rekom. It says, Lo Shalcheno Rekom. It says regarding the financial package, compensation, you should not send away the slave empty-handed. After 6 years. You shouldn't send him away empty, but what? Hanek Taniklo. You should give him the financial gift. Upidyon Meksiv, Bechor Bonecho Tifter, Lo Yiro Ponai Rekom. So we have Rekom associated with Pidyon Aben, and you have Rekom, you should not send them away empty-handed. Gzerashav Rekom, as by Pidyon it's 5. So the Gemara asks a question, Ve'mechomi Shlomi Kulu. Right? If it says Rekom. So maybe the 3 together is 5. How do we know it's 5 of each? Correct? So Gemara says, Iksiv Rekom Libisof. If it would say, Tzon Goren Yekev Rekom, Rekom would follow. So what's Rekom? If you don't have all 3, which is 5. But here the Torah says, Hashlichsiv Rekom Bereisha. First by Hanukkah it says Rekom, Lo Sishchanu Rekom. You should not send away empty-handed. Hanek Taratla what? ABC. So the Rekom Atzon, Rekom Agoren, Rekom Ayekev. So the word Rekom, so Rekom itself is the equivalent of Pidyon Aben. That's the word Rekom. So if we apply Rekom to each one of the 3 which are mentioned, which follows, so therefore it's 5 for each one of them. No. What does the Torah say? If it's Lo Sashchanu Rekom, it should say, you should give him ABC, and he should not be sent away empty-handed. That means all 3 together, he should not be sent away empty-handed. Here it says, Lo Sashchanu Rekom. And then, so Rekom, then it says ABC. So the word, look, this had a darshan. Put it this way, if I would be doing, you were doing, we wouldn't know how to do it. But once they point this out, you understand the difference whether it follows or precedes. Okay, so there's nothing more to ask. So it's how to darshan, how to understand what the Torah is saying. So now the Gemara has a question. So with the Gzera Shava, Rekum is from where? From Pidyon Aben. So Gemara asks, Rekum, V'neilaf, Rekum, Ola Sariyo. One has to bring 2 korbanos on Yom Tov, correct? You have to bring the Chagigo, the festival offering, and you have to bring an Ola Sariyo, a burnt offering. And what does it say? Lo yiro ponai rekum. You should not see my countenance empty-handed. Right? You have an obligation in the regalim to bring a korban riyah, which is a burnt offering. So if that's the case, right, it's only 2. It's 2 sloim. So why am I learning rekum to Pidyon Aben? We should associate the words rekum, which is written by Olas Riyah. Omakro ashaberuch Hashem elkecho. It says regarding Hanukkah, why should you give him the compensation? Because you were blessed through the slave. So it's an expression of your appreciation for the service that he gave you for 6 years. So it's ashaberuch, that means you should give him something more significant. So if you have a choice, more or less, what should you give the slave? Ashaberuch Hashem elkecho. You give more. So that's why the Gzer Shava is learned to Pidyon Aben and not to Olas Riyah. It's based on psukim. It's interesting. It's a machlokas. In Mishnah, in Chagiga, it's a machlokas b'sham b'Yisrael. What exactly you spend on... Right. It's explicit. Right. So, but either way, it's a limud. But it's based on limudim. It's based on limudim. It's based on psukim. How much you spend on the Olas Riyah.
Right. But the Pidyon Aben is enumerated there.
What difference does it make? Any limit, it's like a fush bekro. If it's any one of Yudgimel Nish Torah and the Jereshis, it's like explicit in the pasuk. If Rekum tells me that the compensation be identical to Olas Riyah, what does that say? If that's the Gzer Shava, let's say I didn't have Pidyon Aben, so you would learn it to Olas Riyah. I would, but now I have a question: which one should I associate it with? Pidyon Aben or Olas Riyah? Since Gemara says this is Ashaberuch Hashem Elokecho, you're a beneficiary through his service. You should give him the greater number rather than the lesser number.
You also say that
No, Lo Yerod Pidyon Rekum is not going to Chagiga. It's not going to Chagiga. Only on Olas Riyah. Therefore,
Pidyon Aben, you can do that anyway. It's more like halakha.
we're talking about Gzer Shava. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shloshim. Rabbi Yehuda says no. The Hanukkah is 30. Kishloshim Shalek Eved, which we find my time at the Rabbi Yehuda. Yolif Nisina Sinami Eved. Right? So Rashi says, what is the psukim? It says over here, Titain Lo. Titain Lo, you should give to him. And it says by, in regard, he calls it Niski Eved. It says, Shloshim Shkolim Yitain La Donov. Okay? 30 Shkolim you should give to his master. Malal on Shloshim, Afkan Shloshim. It's more a question. Neilaf Nisina Sina Me'erchin. Malal on Chamishim, Afkan Chamishim. What are you learning to Evet Kanani, which is 30? Learn it to Erchin, which is 50. Some more answers. Chada, firstly, the Tefasta Meruba Lo Tefasta. Tefasta Mu Tefasta. Right? We have a principle. So there's a Rashi in a number of locations. He says, literally means when you grab less, you know what you have. But more, it may not be more. There's a principle known as B'chlam Mosayim Mono. If the person owes somebody $200, he definitely owes him $100, because one is included in the two. So the lesser is definitely included with the more, but more, it may be too much. You may not owe it. You understand? When you say you owe 30, you pay 30, you may have not paid it all, but it's definitely partial payment. But if you pay 50, and it's not supposed to be 50, that means you overpaid. So therefore, there's a principle in when you interpret something, tafasta miruba lo tafasta, fasta mu tafasta. That's what Rashi always learns. No, I didn't need that. The Gemara answered much better. The Gemara answered better. Asher Be'erach Hashem Elokecha. No, here we're going up 50. Why less 30? Pay 50. No, before. No. Again, before the Gemara says, why is it 5? Maybe it should be 2. So we say it says Asher Be'erach Hashem Elokecha. Now the Gemara is asking the other way. Why is it 30? It should be 50. So what are you going to answer me? And that's definitely Asher Be'erach Hashem Elokecha. Yeah. The Gemara answers because tefasta meruba, tefasta muat, lo tefasta.
Why is it a violation of what we're paid?
There's a difference, there's a big difference between 2 and we're going from 30 to 50. 30 is also Asher Be'erach Hashem Elokecha. So that's significant. That's significant. Right.
Why is it a violation of what we're paid?
No violation. But maybe you're not supposed to give him more. When you give him less, you're definitely giving him minimally partial payment. Maybe all payment. But if I pay more, maybe the Torah doesn't require me to give more. Well, we have a suffix here. We're asking on Rabbi Yehuda, why is he applying it this way? No, we'll see Rashi in a minute. There's a question. Rashi is going to address this in a minute. What is the basis of Gzera Shava? The Gemara says, "Don Gzera Shava mi'atzmo." Person can't start associating words. The Torah gave so many words. The words that it gave, how do I know what those words are? It's a Masorah, from Rebbe to Talmud. So that we have. The Masorah we have. But the question is, which words do I identify with which words? We're asking. Yeah, but the whole argument is the accuracy of your tradition. That's what we're asking. How do you know if that's your tradition, it's your tradition. There's nothing to say. But who said your tradition is accurate? Maybe you're making a mistake. Because let's say the one holds 50. Reb Shimon says 50, correct? So Reb Shimon says, I hold 50. Maybe the Gzera Shava is not as you're saying it. It should be to, right? It should be to Erchin. So why are you doing it? Why are you learning it to Evet Kanani? On that he says, because I have a principle. That confirms what I'm saying is accurate. Okay? The Ode. In addition, why do I learn the Hanokah, the financial compensation, from Evet Kanani rather than from Erchin? Evet mi Evet, Havalei Lamelav. If I have a choice to learn, even the ones in everyone's in Evet Kanani, but they're both slaves. So if I could learn Evet to Evet rather than to Erchin, which is a totally different subject matter, association is preferable to learn within the same subject matter. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Reb Shimon Omer Chamishim kechamishim shebe'erchin. Reb Shimon says 50 as we find 50 by Erchin, which is the highest innate value of a Jew. 50. My time in Reb Shimon. Where does he get this from? Gomer and the Sina Erchin says Nosan says you should give, as we say, Yitnin. Malach Habishim of Kan Chamishim. Ve'im Epoch shebe'erchin. So here he goes. Maybe it should be less. See, here it works. You see, well, we're going from 30 to 50, but here it says we're saying it's 50. Maybe you should give less, right? So my tradition is more. So to give less, it's not, because that's contrary to what Asher Be'erach Hashem Elokecha. Ve'im Epoch shebe'erchin, Asher Be'erach Hashem Elokecha ksiv. So that tells me it's the greater rather than the lesser. So Mar asks a question: B'neilif nesina sina mi'evet. But if I have a Gzera Shava, we should learn the Sina from Evet. Malalo Shloshim Makan Shloshim. Chad, firstly, Tefasta Miruba Lo Tefasta. Right? That's why I should learn to the lesser rather than to the greater. V'od. Evet mi Evet Havalei Lamelaf. That's a good question. If I have a question learning Gzera Shava, you always learn to a similar situation. Erchin is not similar to Evet. No, it's asking. They're not contradicting. We're asking. What Rabbi Yehuda is. When we say, no, Rabbi Yehuda stated his case, and he gave you his rationale on why he holds it's 30 and not 50. So now Rabbi Shimon says no, it's 50. But what do you do with the rationale of Rabbi Yehuda? You just can't ignore it. So that's where we're stuck. So it should be 30 and not 50. So we're back to square one. So where does Reb Shimon know it's 50? That's exactly what the Gemara is asking. Yeah, but he says, but based on how to understand a Gzera Shava, it doesn't meet the standard of a Gzera Shava. It should be 30, either because tafasta below tafasta. In addition, we associate Eved with Eved. Okay, so that's the Gemara's question. Reb Shimon Micha Ksiv Gomar. It's a different Gzera Shava. It's not Nesina Nesina, because it is B'chi Yomuch. Okay, so Rashi, it's Micha Micha. And the important Rashi over here. Yeah. Ksiv Be'eved B'chi Yomuch. When does a person... Torah says if a person falls on financial hard times, he sells himself into slavery. That's chiyomuch. If he's impoverished and he's not able to pay his what? His value. So therefore, since Be'erchen says moch, it's not nesina nesina. So that means the words nesina nesina were never given within this context to learn Gzera Shava. If it was given, so we start asking, why learn to here, learn to there? Right? Learn the lesser amount rather than the greater amount. But we said that Reb Shimon never had that Besorah. That wasn't his Gzera Shava. It's Micha Micha, so it's Micha Micha. So the Torah is saying it's A to B, and there's nothing more to talk about. Let's see Rashi, very important Rashi here. Micha Micha Gomar. Ein Odom do Gzera Shava mi'atzmo. A person cannot establish a Gzera Shava on his own by association of words. Umesori lehemi rabosayim umisinai. Eza teva nichtva Gzera Shava. It's a mesor from Sinai which words were given to associate one with the other. Gechol davra alomin michavero. As everything that's learned from everything else. Varhashta dava amino and the Reb Shimon goma mirabe dinesino. Originally they had thought that the base of Reb Shimon was that his Rebbe had taught him that the words nesino, these words should be associated with one another. Nidjut Gzera Shava hapachinon. Gzera Shava benoli degam nesino, said the Gemara asked on Reb Shimon. It's true you have the words in Mesorah, but how do you know you associate that nesina with that nesina? It should be a different level of association. The erchen nigba min nesina David. Why should it be 50? Nor from Eved Kanani. So therefore the Gemara finally answers Gzera Shava Reb Shimon lav Gzera Shava din nesina Gemara. His Mesorah was not nesina nesina. Ela micha ksiv Eved v'chiyomuch. So once we say that, there's nothing else to talk about, right? It's not within the discussion that it should be 30 because the Micha Micha is 50. Okay?
So when you have a Gzera Shava that comes down to the Torah, what comes down is the fact that you're going to, there is a Gzera Shava and the word is Nesina. But it doesn't tell you which Nesinas in the Torah are used in what context.
It's interesting. Well, let me explain you something. I once mentioned him in Ramchal. Everything in the Torah is halach l'mishmi Sinai. Even something explicit. Everything is halach. Most things are halach l'mishmi Sinai, unless it's literally explicit in the Torah. So what do we have Torah shebechsav, right? So everything's Torah shebal peh. So the answer is because the Torah wants you to understand how it's derived from the text. That's the chiyuv of Talmud Torah. Besides having the knowledge of the fact, the process of how it's extrapolated and it's extracted from the text, whether it's Gzera Shava, whether it's Atzara Shava, whatever, that is the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. And when you engage in that process, it has unlimited ramifications. Okay? Now, so I have a Mesorah. Nesina Nesina. So Nesina, let's say my Mesorah is, before we get is 50. So now we have, somebody has a Mesorah, he says, I think my Mesorah is more accurate than yours because mine is 30. And the person has a Mesorah from Sinai, Nesina, Nesina. See if there's only these two things to be associated, which is 30, okay. So we disagree, my Mesorah is Nesina, Nesina, you have a different Mesorah. Right? But what about if the Nesina Nesino could be applied elsewhere? Just because you have Nesina Nesino, what confirms to you that your Besorah is correct? Your interpretation is correct. Maybe it's not. Why associated with Erche and associated with Evet Kanani? It should be 30, not 50.
But isn't that part of the Masorah? Which word to associate?
No, but again, the chiyuv, the obligation is, it has to be able to be proven from the text. You understand? You have to be able to prove from the text. So if I'm going from it's 30 and not 50, you know how I proved that Nesina is Evet Kanani? Because I have two concepts. I have Tefasta Meruba Lo Tefasta, and I associate Evet with Evet. So that tells me, gives me understanding how to interpret it from the text. But if you're going 50, how will you learn? How will you interpret it from the text? It has to be proven from the text that there's no other way to understand it other than the way the text is being interpreted. But if you have a question, why interpret it differently, then evidently that's not correct. So if it's 30, I have a way to prove it. Because I have two principles that secures it. But 50, I don't. So the Gemara says, you know something, that means that cannot be the Gzera Shava. The Gzera Shava is Micha Micha. Micha Micha is good because there's only one other case, a 50. That's Erchin. Therefore it's 50 and it's not 30.
The Masorah is just the fact. The Masorah was just 30. One person had a Masorah that's 30, and one person had a Masorah that's 50. How they broke apart, how they came down to 30 or 50 is something else.
Evidently something went wrong along the way. People forgot. That's the basis of every argument.
Right.
There was only one Masorah, so all of a sudden how do we have different? This is only to prove that case that Masorah is more accurate. What do you want to ask? First of all, there are no. Many things they argue is not based on the pasuk. They're concepts. Why not? A Rebbe gives you a concept, and you disagree with. You say, "What my position is more logical than your position." Right? And they both seem to be right. Right? Let's say you have two people argue. You have a concept. You know, it's interesting. There's a story of Rabbi Kalatsky. Rabbi Kalatsky, the was a colleague of the Brisker Rav. They learned together in Volozhin. He was the head of the London Bezdin for 30 years, and he was one of the Gedolei Yisrael. Passed away in the 60s. So, the end of his life, the last 10 years of his life, he retired to Beit Vagan. So, Beit Vagan is a yeshiva called Kol Torah. Established by Yekis. They established the yeshiva. So they asked him if he would say a shir once a week to the students of Beit Vagan. So Beit Vagan, the oldest, it's the oldest student is 21 years old, 22. They're single boys, not married. And he would come say the shir, and he would give it in Hebrew shir. And I heard this from a person. He happened to be a South African. He came from Durban, and he was there at the time. And Rabbi Kalatsky sang the shir in Hebrew, in Ashkenazis, not in Sfardit. And he sang the shir, and one of the students asks a question. He says to Rabbi Kalatsky, Rebbe, it seems to be illogical what you're saying. The svara, the logic, is not cogent. This is the question he asked Rabbi Kalatsky. So Rabbi Kalatsky was already in his 80s. So Rabbi Kalatsky says to the student, he says, if you would ask me from a Gemara, that's your difficulty in what I'm saying. Okay. If you ask me from a Rambam, okay. You're 20 years old. I've been learning for 80 years. I've reviewed Shas maybe 150 times. And you're telling me what's logical, what's illogical. You have an understanding what logic and what not logic is. That was his response to the student. So I'm saying, Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish, we always rule like Rabbi Yochanan. We always rule like Rabbi Yochanan. Both positions to the outsider, they both seem to be compelling. Who's more right? Right? You can't differentiate. You can't find a fallacy in either of the logic. They both seem to be very, very logical positions. but factually, who's more right? Where you can't discern, make that difference, to find a weakness in the logic. The answer is Rabbi Yochanan is more right. Because Rabbi Yochanan was a different dimension of person. That's Masorah. That's Masorah. But you can ask the Rebbe, as the Gemara saying has, if that's your Masorah and if that's how you're proving it, I have a problem. How could it be 50? Maybe it should be 30. So evidently, it's not a proof. That's not a proof, and that's what we're discussing over here.
Not like this South African student when he was old.
He could have been from Paris. Same thing.
He may have been a needleweed, and he has a better understanding of the logic than it could be.
You know the story. There was this person, this person builds this phenomenal business, thriving. 50 years, built an empire. Sends his son to Harvard Business School, comes back with an MBA, and the son right away wants to make changes in the business. So he brings his father a deal, and he feels that if his father invests a tremendous amount of money in his deal, he'll take him over the top. Puts it on his father's desk. His father just glances, and he had a waste can on, so he just pushes it right into the waste can. So the son's insulted. He says, "Father, I have this education. You were never educated. Why I'm educated?" He says, I'm going to explain it to you. And he shows him. So what you believe you understand, that your understanding is greater grasp, you don't understand what works and what doesn't work. Instead, it's irrelevant what kind of genius you are. If you could point out a fallacy in my logic, of course, there's not a problem with that. But you can't. So we're both saying positions. Which is more logical? That's the question. So the question is, what's your level of experience? What's behind the logic? So therefore, there's no comparison between the two people. Okay? That's the difference between a statesman and a politician. A politician could be, it's irrelevant what kind of mind he has, but he's not a statesman. So Mar says like this: Bishlam of the Reb Meir, Heinrich Zon, Gorin, the Yekiv. According to Reb Meir, why does it mention the 3 species? Of course, it's 5 of each, which is 15. That's what comes up with number 15. Ela Reb Yehuda, Reb Shimon, Haitzon, Gorin, Yekiv, Lomali. What do we need it for? The question is, we're learning from Erchin, you're learning from here or there, 30 or 50. Has nothing to do with the species, right? Haimi boilei chedetanyo, lochu lo yeminaikim ela mitzon gorin v'yekiv. Maybe when you give the financial package, it has to be paid out from sheep, from goren, that's something which is harvested, or from the vineyard. Yekiv is wine. Minayin l'rabskotov. How do we know anything? You're able to pay the financial compensation with anything with shaveh kesef, with anything of value. Anything which it's an expression of your appreciation. You receive blessing through him, you have to compensate him. So if the Gemara asks the question, if that's the case, it could be anything. So why does the Torah specify? If you're able to pay with anything with value, which we will continue.